Let's do an assembly for the 3D electric motor. I'm not going to give all the measurements of each one of these. I will put that in the description. This is not my original design, but I plan on improving upon it. I will make a separate video on how to do the windings. This is the most difficult portion a magnet would stick to because it has iron embedded. So this is just standard PLA with iron within it. Let's say we have the windings done. We have an A, B, and C. Those are ins. And you're going to get an A, B, and C out. We're going to wind those together. If you have trouble fitting this in the core, you can keep these separate before you insert those. Put your inserts in really any time. So you could do this before, where you take your insert, you heat it up with the heating element, and you insert it into the PLA. Make sure you get that straight, and make sure they're straight up and down. It has these two holes here because we're going to insert those wires inside. Try to center it up as best that you can. And this only goes on one way. And these holes to the holes on the other side. So you need to get those lined up. And then your bolts will go in here. Rotate, so you may need some needle nose pliers that you can lock that down and then turn it. All right, now that we've got the core complete, we need to assess the magnets and find out what is a north pole, what's a south pole. You can notice I've already put those in. But let's look at these and how do we determine that. So here are the neodymium magnets that we're using. So on this compass, silver is going to be south, and then red is going to be north, which red is almost always north, I believe. So I can see that I have a north in there, so I'm going to turn this one south, and then you can just press that down in there. So once you determine if it's south or north, so that one's our south, then take it and put a little S on there. So you can see that they're in the correct sequence when you place those in. So now I'm going to put my south there. So now I know, since that goes south, north, south, I need a north here. And so I would measure that out, mark it again, and now I can see that I've got south, north, south, north, south, north. You get the idea. All the way around. You have magnetic film. You can see the pattern on there. I know that's going to be hard to see from this camera, but it's giving kind of the shape of the magnetic field all the way around. They look fairly equal. But if it doesn't work for you, that's one of the first things that you can check besides how it was wired. So I would go to that first because it's one of the easiest things to check. So once you get that in, you can press your bearings inside the outer housing on either side. So we're going to press that in. Make sure it's seated pretty well. And then this side is going to be the side for the propeller, the one that I have face down. You'll press that in. You want to see if it's free moving, which this one's not. So what can happen is this PLA can shrink. The tolerances between the core and the magnet's fairly small, but it needs to be wide enough to leave it freely moving. You can press harder with the sandpaper and just keep it in one position with your dominant hand. Place that in until you can get this free rotating. Now that's too rough. You want it to be really smooth. But I'll continue to work on it. That's going to take a lot of time. And that's going to be one of the main issues you have when you power this up and you hook it up to a battery or a control unit. If that is not free moving, or it kind of sticks in certain areas, you'll want to continue to sand on it. My electronic control unit, it's 3-phase, but you'll take a torch and burn off any enamel. It's better than scraping. here is going to be my center. As long as you have the green in the center, coming out of the center of the control unit, and in the center wire for the motor, as long as you've got those correct, if you want to change clockwise versus counterclockwise, you just change out the red and the yellow. Let's see if we've got this right. I'm not going to try to power it up, but you should hear something. Let me make sure I'm hooked up right again. So that's what we want to hear. So if I were to test this right now, because it doesn't want to turn, hear that? It's trying to get that to rotate. That's an indication that it's sticking. It's getting power. We know it's getting power, but it doesn't have enough power to break free. So we'll fix that, we'll mount it, and I'll show you how it works. All right, that's a good sign. Yeah, that's better. Not perfect. Not as good as what we had yesterday, but better. See, I feel, oh, okay. I see what's going on. It is rubbing up against the wood. Pretty good. So that's what we're looking for right there. So you just gotta make sure, I just have to make sure. See, now it's starting to touch again, so that's why we're getting too much friction down there, and that could overheat the engine. So we gotta make our mount better.